What is sexual maturity? That's our topic today, and it's a big one. If you've yet to subscribe to our channel, please hit that button. And also, if you have a question about this or anything else, put it in the box and we will get back to you as soon as possible. Sexual maturity is a big issue, especially if you're in a long-term committed or a marriage relationship, because you don't automatically sexually mature. It takes time. So I want to walk through what I call the 3 stages of sexual maturity so you can identify where you are in the process and recommend what you can do. There's a great book called Upgrade Your Sex Life, which can help tremendously. Now, I'm quoting this from Intimacy, 100-Day Guide, Lasting Relationships. That's a great relationship book. Gives you a lot of basics about money, dating, sexuality, and all kinds of things. That's a great read. But this is in the sexuality chapter of Intimacy, 100-Day Guide to Lasting Relationships. And I talk about this in 3 stages: the sexual child, the sexual adolescent, and the sexual adult. The sexual child doesn't even really see themselves as sexual. They tend not to take any sexual responsibility, which means they don't really initiate in the relationship, or it's rare, or it's them getting themselves out of the doghouse, so to speak. They don't really see themselves as moving toward the other person sexually, more as a responder. They might even be putting off sex because they don't feel competent at it. They don't feel good at it. Now, of course, the only way to get better at it is to practice and communicate and work through those things, but they tend to avoid that. And it's very hard for a sexual child to talk about sex. If you bring up the subject of sex, they'll often say, that's all you want to talk about, even though it might be in a year or 5 years since your last conversation. They don't want to go into their sexual pleasures or yours. They don't want to have those conversations about positions or places or trying something different. They don't want to. And sometimes they will just shut you down, say, I'm not going to talk about it. And it leaves you on the outside. And if you are a sexual child, what your spouse is feeling is unheard, disconnected, isolated, and frustrated because this area can't develop unless we have communication. And trusting your spouse with your sexuality, not just in your body, but in your communication, is really important to be able to move into sexual adulthood. Now, sexual adolescence, and many people have been there, especially men, it's mostly about them. It's about their pleasure. They're almost unconscious about the spouse's pleasure, how to bring them to an orgasm, what makes them feel good, how to do the foreplay thing, how to really connect emotionally. They will tend to use kind of adolescent terms for sex. Did you get some? I want it. Can we do it? It's not about, can I connect to you? I want to be close to you. I want to be intimate with you. That's more of an adult conversation. They tend to be disconnected during the sexual encounter. They might be blank in their head. They might be thinking about pornography. They might be thinking about other sex acts with other people, or they might be thinking about other sex acts with you. But they tend to disconnect or disassociate during sex. And if that's happening, you want to talk about that because it might have a sexual addiction history to it, and they might be only connected to object sex, which is in the altered state, not in a relational state. And there's lots of information on YouTube's about all that. But the spouse feels kind of used, empty, kind of not connected during sex, which is actually, if you are a sexual adolescent, you're actually negatively reinforcing sexuality with your spouse, which makes them have a lower desire for sex. So you want to try to work towards being more emotionally present and connecting. Let's move to the sexual adult. The sexual adult accepts their sexuality and accepts the sexuality of their spouse. They're not necessarily trying to make them different. They're trying to accept and understand them. And that's where the book Upgrade Your Sex Life can really, really help, because they go through the 5 sexual expressions. Your spouse is one of those, and you can master what they want to hear, how they want to connect to you. And it's changed people's lives. That's a great book. But the adult initiates relatively regularly. They don't want to take full responsibility because they want to be married to an adult. And so your sexual initiation can tell you a lot about where you are. If you're doing all of it and your spouse is doing none of it, you're out of balance. This should look like almost like a 50-50. Not exactly, we're not counting numbers, but a sexual adult initiates and makes plans, can talk about sexuality, can make a phone call and say, I really want to make love to you today. Don't be too tired. Get home before the kids get home. Or they can have fun with their sexuality. They're not afraid of being sexual. They're not afraid of their bodies. They can walk around and be seen, and it's okay with them. They can communicate about their sexuality and ask questions and actually hear the desires, wishes, and thoughts that you have about your sexuality, things you might want to do or try, or things that are not comfortable for you. And it's like, okay, that's just who you are, and that works. We can work around that. They tend to be creative during sexuality. They want to be creative because they're adults and they're mature. And it's like, these are our toys. Let's play with them and let's have fun talking about each other's body. And they can be flexible. They understand a person being sick or being emotionally drained or something like that. They understand life is life, and they don't get all upset if you say no. But if you're going to say no, it's okay to say, I really desire you, but can we do it tomorrow? Because I don't have the energy to give all of myself to you tonight, and you deserve all of me, and I don't have all of me to give. That's a way better way to say no to sex, so that it isn't so misunderstood or doesn't feel like rejection. Very helpful in that situation. And a sexual adult can keep their word. If they say, hey, let's make love tonight, and they agree to that, they're going to make love to you. They know that sex is part of the understanding of marriage. And sometimes it may not be that they're in the mood, but it's like, you know what, if they want it, that's okay. And I can participate. And it's not a big deal. There's no resentment built up. It's just kind of like, this is part of maintaining our relationship. I feel good about that. I don't feel used. I feel connected to, maybe I wasn't in the mood, but I can definitely get there for you or be there with you and enjoy you and talk during sex and be connected during sex. And a sexual adult will want to communicate during sex, not dirty talk, but communicate and connect. It can be fun. Well, I hope this has been helpful for you to kind of just open your mind to the development of sexuality. I would recommend Upgrade Your Sex Life because it really opens a lot of communication about sexuality. There's no class on this stuff, and it can really help your marriage go to another level sexually, see yourself sexually, create a sexual understanding or agreement with each other so we're on the same page all the time instead of trying to, figure it out in the dark. This can really be helpful in a marriage. You want to be able to be on the same page sexually. You want to both be adults. And if you're not, you want to take responsibility to move to adults. Well, hope this encourages you. Again, if you haven't subscribed, please do. Hit that button. If you have a question, please send it to us. Until next time, go have a great sex life.